This is one of the good drives on the Newcastle to Sydney freeway. Coming down and going over the Mooney Bridge and that big windsock there telling the poor caravan fella in front exactly how much crosswind he's got to cope with, which at the moment isn't too bad considering there's been a gale warning for most of this part of the coast of New South Wales for the last day or so. Speaking of days, this is day 2 of my trip down to Canberra to see my son. Today I'm headed into Sydney to stay with a friend of mine I haven't seen for a couple of years. This piece of highway now is coming up to about 60 years old. This expressway I think opened sometime in the 1960s, and they're doing an awful lot of work to take out all the bumps and everything else and replace the surface with a better one like this, which is great. Because I tell you what, in some parts of it, it feels like it's 60 years old. It's got more bumps and grinds and creaks in it than I do. This would be coming up to one of the beautiful parts of this trip. We're winding down now into the Hawkesbury River Valley and the bridge that crosses the mighty Hawkesbury. And but you know, back in the 60s, 50s or 60s when they built this bit of road, it was quite a remarkable engineering feat. That all this rock that they had to dig through, all the Hawkesbury sandstone that they had to dig through. Not so much here. You'll see in a little bit what I mean by that. As we go down, here we go. This is probably give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. On the left there, and not that you can see it, but on the right is a similarly imposing cliff of Hawkesbury sandstone on the other side of the road. But even here, look at this. Look at these glorious rocks. Absolutely amazing. You know, I love nature, I love rocks. I'm not a geologist, but wow. High wind area, yeah, I'll say. You know, my father found out how much of a high wind area this was probably in Christmas 67 or something like that. We were heading north up the hill on the other side of the road, and I think it was this cutting that we're coming up to now on the other side of the road, and we're towing a caravan for our family holiday, and he came out from behind that clump of rock over there in the left-hand lane where that truck is right now, hit a crosswind through here and instantly ended up in the outside lane. So that was fun. That was a learning experience. I'll tell you what, I remember that quite vividly, and now that I am pretty much a full-time caravaner, I hate driving on windy days. And I tell you what, I'm glad I don't have the van on today, because as I said earlier, we've got gale force winds all across the east coast of Australia at the moment, so it's not fun. But as you can see, dirty great big hill in front of us, sort of getting down to where the river is. And we'll be crossing the river in probably a minute or so. There it is. I can just see the first part of it from here now. And we can speed up a bit now, seeing we're out of the bendy stuff. Beautiful spot. I love rivers, love water scenes. Always calms me down quite nicely. The old bridge on the left was the old Pacific Highway. And this newer bridge, of course, is the new Pacific Highway. And I'm not going anywhere near the speed limit, but I've got to catch up, as I should be on the limit, especially in this lane. Trouble, of course, is, you know, we saw the nice little climb down to the river, to cross the river. Trouble is, as Isaac Newton found out, what goes down must come up. No, hang on a second, that's wrong. Well, anyway, in our case, what goes down to the river has now got to climb back up again. And I mean, it doesn't look too bad, and it's not too bad for a car. But you put any weight on behind, I mean, even that truck that was behind us, he had nothing on the back of it that he's crawling up in the left-hand lane. But check out those sandstone that I was talking about before. Look at these rocks here on the left and right. Huge, massive, lovely. Pretty awesome, pretty inspiring, really. Sorry, I'm getting... Am I getting far too excited by a bunch of rocks? Yeah, whatever. Probably. Oh, look at the breeze on those trees on the left. Wow. I think I'm driving pretty much straight into it at the moment, which is why... Yeah, not happy. Don't like wind. But look at this. Magnificent. And we're going uphill again because the car decided it wanted to go back another gear. So why do I get excited about rocks? I'm just fascinated by nature. And when you're driving for a couple of hours, something like that is just a beautiful change of scenery and takes your mind off whatever hassles you might have. Helps relax. In case you haven't worked out, most of what I've been talking about is, you know, finding a way to chill out. Stop being triggered about stuff going on around you, just to enjoy life. And the interesting thing is, well, here we go, we're coming up to, well, not yet, we've still got about 10 minutes to go, but we're coming into the end of the freeway in about 9 minutes time, so I just want to chill out now because I can tell you that the next 10 minutes or 20 minutes after that will be wall-to-wall traffic. Down, for those of you that know Sydney, down my favourite bit of road, Pennant Hills Road. Yeah. And we have an idiot. I'm doing 107. Oh, and he's in the left-hand lane. Now he's in the right-hand lane. And there we go. Bye-bye, idiot. And there's another one. Oh, let's change lanes, shall we, with no blinker. Huh. Welcome to the big smoke. Now, I lived in Sydney. Oh, okay, I'll start the story again. I was born and raised in Tamworth, country music capital of New South Wales, Australia. And lived in the bush in Tamworth, and went to uni in Armidale, which is also in the country. And came down to Sydney when I was finished uni and started teaching when I was 22 and a half. And I stayed in Sydney until I was, wow, 42 and a half. There you go. worked it out. So I was actually in Sydney for 20 years. And it's not a bad place, I suppose, but if you're a country person, it's a place you want to get out of. I really think, you know, that okay, there's a lot of problems with being an adult in the country, I suppose. I mean, it's lovely to grow up in the country. It's certainly safe for kids and great for families and all of that sort of stuff. But the older you get, well, let's start hitting 18 or whatever. There's nothing to do, let me assure you. There's, compared to the big smoke or the bigger cities, the much bigger cities, there's not that much to do in the country. Sorry, I'll straighten that up again. And the little place that I've spent probably the last 10 to 15 years at, good place to bring my son up, good place for my girls to grow up. But the trouble is, you know, the moment they hit adulthood and they want to go out and enjoy themselves, well, guess what? The place shuts down at 8 or 9 o'clock on a weekend. During the week, it shuts down at about 6. So there's very little to do. And if you're looking for further education after school, basically there's not much available. The number of TAFE courses are limited, the number of university courses are very limited. So then you might start looking for work. The number of part-time jobs, well, they are extremely limited. Basically only the major supermarkets, that's about it, or maybe some of the larger, not so much in my little town, but in the nearest one half an hour away, the bigger town, you might get a job working for Hungry Jack's or McDonald's or something like that. And certainly as far as full-time jobs are concerned, well, there's no major manufacturing. There's very limited full-time jobs around, I suppose, too. And this is pretty typical of most country towns and villages. You know, if you want training, if you want education, you want further education, pressed the wrong button on the car then just to confuse the guy behind me. If you want those things, if you want entertainment, you've got to go to the big smoke. But coming to the big smoke, well, here we are, we're coming into the big smoke. And for those of you that aren't Australian, you probably don't know that the big smoke means a rather large city. Big city, couple of million. So living in the big smoke, what's so great about it? Well, I've already talked about entertainment. There's plenty of it. Heaps to choose from. Doesn't matter what you like doing, you'll find something to do. Heaps of shopping. You can buy anything you want. But then again, who buys stuff at shops anymore? Don't you just do all of that online? I don't actually, to be honest with you. Heaps of training. I don't know how many universities are in Sydney. I could have a guess, but there's probably around half a dozen. But, and here's the but, especially if you're a young family or a young couple and you know, maybe you want to buy a house and start a family and all this sort of stuff. Well, good luck buying a house. You might get one under $500,000 if you were lucky, under $500,000 out in the far western suburbs. I don't know. I haven't looked at the Sydney market for such a long time. I know way back in 1987 I bought a house and a block of land for $72,000. Sold it 10 years later for what, $200,000. So that was, oh okay, slow down, we're into an 80. Whoop. So that was fun. But that was 1997, that was 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago. I think that same $200,000 house would easily be worth 6 or 7 now. So there's an advantage for going country. It's actually a lot more affordable. And depending on how far country you go, how small a country town, I mean, you could be looking at $150,000. Say, let's say 150 to 300. I'm supposed to be doing 60. Ridiculous. Okay, a lot of work going on here. I think this is where they're digging a huge tunnel to take us under a few of those suburbs there. Looks like a tunnel from here to take us down to avoid the scourge of Pennant Hills Road, which is what we're about to turn onto now, Cumberland Highway. And I'm sticking on the Cumberland Highway to go all the way down to my mate's place. So traffic's about to get extremely interesting, I'd imagine. Every time I come down here, red light and bumpy road. Sorry guys. Hey team. I actually prefer them when they're green, to be honest. Oh, clunk, 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 clunk. Major arterial road. Sounds like a train line. Good stuff. If you're doing this bit of road, Saturday's probably a good time to do it, which is what today is. Simply because, well, apart from keeping your fingers crossed there might be less traffic. Oh, excuse me. There also are no school zones to worry about, because they're for a major arterial road. This one has a mountain of school zones along here, and I tell you what, they've got speed cameras on every damn single one of them, and if you're over by a fraz, you'll get done. You know what a fraz means? It's a 70k road most of the time. Oh, terrible bumps. But school zone's 40. And it goes for an hour and a half in the morning and the afternoon, and I tell you what, you wouldn't want to do 41 or 42 through any of these, because the camera will take your picture and send you a nice little surprise in the mail. And the other thing, of course, like my friend next to us here, if you're towing a caravan, yeah, don't come through here on a weekday. Unless you've got nerves of steel. So I left all of this behind in 1997 and went bush. And I think in that 20-year period I've only been back here. Oh, hello truck. I've only been back here half a dozen times, if that. Loads. Yeah, I know I've been down for a couple of funerals. I've driven through both ways a couple of times, so that's 4. And I was flown in about 2.5 years ago for my triple bypass. Stayed for a couple of weeks with my brother, who lives over to the right of us somewhere from here. And that was 2.5 years ago. And haven't been back since. And you know, I'm not really missing it. Not really missing this at all. The other thing I like about living in the country is, my God, look at that traffic down there. Holy crap. As far as the eye can see, this is a parking lot on this side of the road. Oh, jeez. Alright, I'm gonna finish this off with my last like about living in the country. I tell you what, I'm not worried about my safety. I'm not worried that much about my personal safety, because all these idiots that are carrying on with absolutely stupid stuff, knife attacks, hoons or whatever, guess what? We don't get them in the bush. And if we're talking terrorist attacks, well, they don't attack in the bush either. They tend to concentrate more in the big cities, you know, probably in the inner city areas, I don't know, but where they think they're going to get maximum bang for their buck, so to speak. Good luck to them. They can just bugger off. I'll just stay safe where I am in the country. Well, that was fun. Just as I'm turning the camera over to, oh, here we go. Just as I turn the camera over so you can see me, we've got a fire engine zooming through, would you believe, trying to get through this traffic jam up there. There's no way in the world, I don't know how he's going to do that. Absolutely no idea. And now, there he is, stuck in the middle of it. I mean, it is absolutely chock-a-block both sides. How on earth they are supposed to respond to an emergency? Well, there's another good reason to like the country. I mean, we've got fire brigades and ambulances and stuff like that there too. They are, those services are available. So, you know, when you're thinking about where you might live, where it might be a better place to live. Oh, but that's the point of this video, isn't it? That's where I'm coming from. Okay, I'm a country boy. I'm biased. I did spend 20 years in Sydney a long time ago, but I can't really say that I would want to move back here in a hurry, because I think I've got better things to do than spending my life in a traffic jam like I am now. Hey, this is Saturday. Okay, it's Pennant Hills Road, I know, but whatever. Hey, mate, Ted, I'll be there. I was hoping to be there in about 10 minutes, but at the rate I'm going, I might be about 3/4 of an hour. So I'll get there soon. And for everyone else, are you going out tomorrow for Mother's Day? Hope so, taking Mum out for celebrate. I'll have a little Mother's Day thing for you tomorrow too. Because I'm on the road, it'll be from this same seat. Hopefully not in the same traffic jam. Oh, that fire engine hasn't made any progress. I'm sorry. He should have gone on the other side of the road, because there's no traffic there now, but he's still about 100 metres in front of me. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, guys. That's it for me. You know what to do. Down there, please like, subscribe, share. Oh, I keep forgetting to say hit the bell too, please, because otherwise you won't know. You won't know when Daily Dad has posted. And until next time, see you later, guys. Bye from me, and take care. Enjoy your Saturday. Cheers.